In 1312, the mighty Order of the Knights Templar was formally suppressed by papal decree. But the order's disappearance was not clean, nor final. With vast estates, legendary treasures, and thousands of members scattered across Christendom, the question remained: what became of the Templars? Pope Clement V ordered their assets transferred to the Knights Hospitallers. But politics, greed, and local resistance turned that ideal into chaos. In France, King Philip IV seized large swaths of Templar wealth before the Hospitallers received anything. Lands were delayed in transfer. Treasure and archives vanished. Some were never seen again. In England, King Edward II hesitated, but eventually complied. Yet nobles and royal agents often kept what they seized. Transfer was sluggish. Some properties remained in limbo for decades. In Iberia, kings took a different route. Rather than destroy the Templars, they transformed them. In Portugal, the Order of Christ was created in 1319, absorbing Templar members, lands, and ideals. In Aragon, the Order of Montesa followed in 1317, approved by the Pope and filled with former Templars. Elsewhere, in Italy, Germany, and the Holy Roman Empire, enforcement was inconsistent. Many properties were divided among local nobles, religious houses, or forgotten entirely. And what of the men themselves? Some Templars, especially in France, died in prison, victims of royal vengeance. Others were dispersed into monasteries or quietly retired. A few simply vanished. In England and Iberia, many were treated with dignity, granted pensions, or absorbed into new orders. Though executions were rare outside France, the Templar Brotherhood was shattered. Their archives, records, and financial ledgers mostly disappeared. Burned, hidden, absorbed, or preserved in secret. The absence of documentation only fed suspicion. Rumors of secret Templar knowledge, hidden relics, and buried treasure flourished for centuries. But even in absence, the order never truly vanished. Templar crosses still adorned stone chapels. Fortresses stood tall across Europe. Oral traditions whispered through generations. And in Portugal, the legacy of the Templars lived on, in plain sight. The order was gone, but its legend had only begun. Though the Order of the Knights Templar was formally dissolved in 1312, their legacy refused to die. Across Europe, stories began to circulate, not of their destruction, but of their escape. Had they survived in secret? Theories of Templar survival took root almost immediately. Some spoke of ships slipping out of La Rochelle's harbor before Philip's men arrived. Others believed knights fled to Scotland, Portugal, or the Swiss Alps, carrying with them relics, secrets, and treasure. In Scotland, legend claims exiled Templars found sanctuary with Robert the Bruce and rode again at the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314, cloaked in white, fighting beside the Scots against the English. While no contemporary records confirm their presence, the timing, with de Molay's death just months earlier, only adds to the intrigue. Elsewhere, truth blurs into fact. In Portugal, King Dinis refused to destroy the order. With papal blessing, he established the Order of Christ in 1319. Former Templars joined en masse. Their castles, symbols, and traditions lived on. The Order of Christ would later guide the Age of Discovery, with Prince Henry the Navigator as Grand Master. And what of Switzerland? Some claim that escaped Templars became the foundation of Swiss military discipline, influencing the militias that would evolve into the famed Swiss Guard. Though intriguing, this theory lacks hard evidence, but no tale has captured the imagination quite like the Templar treasure. Gold, relics, secret archives, all vanished as the order fell. Had it been hidden? Smuggled aboard ships bound for distant shores? Buried beneath chapels? or lost forever? Some believe it lies beneath Rosslyn Chapel, wrapped in Masonic mystery. Others search Oak Island, following cryptic clues and centuries-old whispers. Meanwhile, Templar symbols and rituals reappeared, not on battlefields, but in Freemasonry. By the 17th century, secretive fraternal orders began invoking Templar imagery. The Scottish Rite, the York Rite, rituals echoing the brotherhood, secrecy, and spiritual ideals of the old order. Whether by myth, memory, or metaphor, the Templars endured. Today, scholars distinguish fact from legend, but the legends refuse to die. In vanished gold, in carved stone, in whispers of lost voyages and secret rites, the Templars live on, not in commanderies, but in imagination. Not by decree, but by belief. By the 18th century, the Knights Templar had long since vanished from the battlefields of history, but they were more alive in the imagination of Europe than ever before. They were no longer just monks and warriors. They had become symbols of secrecy, wisdom, resistance, and truth denied. At the heart of this rebirth stood Freemasonry. During the Age of Enlightenment, aristocrats, scholars, and reformers gathered in Masonic lodges. Among their rituals and ideals, a new mythology emerged. The Templars hadn't died. They had gone underground. Masonic rites, particularly the Scottish Rite and York Rite, began incorporating Templar degrees. The symbols were familiar: red crosses, skulls, swords, and secret oaths. But this was no military order. It was a spiritual brotherhood, drawing inspiration from the Templars' downfall and turning history into moral legend. They weren't alone. Romantic writers painted the Templars as martyrs of conscience, guardians of ancient wisdom, betrayed by kings and popes. To revolutionaries, the Templars became icons of resistance, echoing their struggle against tyranny. And to esoteric thinkers, the Templars were keepers of forbidden truth. Eliphas Levi linked them to Baphomet, reinterpreted not as a demon, but a mystical symbol of duality. Others imagined them safeguarding the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, or secret Gnostic texts hidden from the Church. Fact became fantasy. Fantasy became faith. In the 20th and 21st centuries, the Templars surged back into popular culture. In books, they appear in Ivanhoe, Foucault's Pendulum, and the Da Vinci Code, portrayed as secret guardians of bloodlines and ancient conspiracies. In film and television, they show up in Indiana Jones, National Treasure, Nightfall, and Assassin's Creed. Sometimes heroes, sometimes villains, always cloaked in mystery. In video games, they are architects of power, hidden empires, and global control. The Templar name became an archetype, a story engine for the eternal clash between truth and silence, freedom and authority, faith and power. Even today, modern groups claim Templar identity. Some are chivalric orders focused on Christian charity. Some are Masonic rites, keeping the symbols alive in fraternal ceremonies. Others blur the line, dabbling in pseudo-history, conspiracy, and myth. But the message is clear. Though the historical Templars were destroyed by kings, their legacy lives on, in rituals, in media, in mystery. They are no longer merely history. They are myth. Betrayed by the world, burned at the stake, but never forgotten.